feeling small when tears are in your eyes. I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough, can't be found like a bridge over troubled waters. I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled waters. I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled waters, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled waters. I will lay me down. Sit on silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on the way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind, like a bridge over troubled waters. I will ease your mind like a bridge over troubled waters. I will ease your so many songs, listen to 1,000 tongues. there is one that sounds above them all. The Father's song, the Father's love, you sung it over me, and for eternity it's written on my heart. Heaven's perfect melody, the Creator's symphony, you are singing over me, the Father's song. Heaven's perfect mystery, the King of love has sent for us. It's 8 o'clock on a Sunday. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin. He says, "Son, can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet, and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes. La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la, la la. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody. I hope you are, and you got us feeling all right. Now John at the bar, he's a friend of mine. He gets me my drinks for free, and he's quick with a joke, and he'll light up his smoke, but there's some place that he'd rather be. He said, "John, I believe this is killing me," as the smile ran away from his face. "Oh, I knew I could be a big movie star if I could get out of this place." La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la, la la la. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Oh, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling all right. Now Paul, he's a real estate novelist who never had time for a wife, and he's talking to Davy, who's still in the Navy and probably will be for life. Oh, and the piano, it sounds like a carnival, and the microphone, it smells like a beer, and they sit in the bar and put bread in my jar. They say, "Man, what are you doing here?" La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la, la la la. Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and we've got us feeling all right. pretty good crowd for a Sunday. Anybody in?
They are.
And it's show number 106, The Manager. And that little moment there was a memorial moment for Richard.
Yes,
Or should it be?
this has been
Something like that. The Manager. This piano has never been the same. Listen to it, it's all out of tune. Listen to that. Thank you, Richard. Oh my goodness, they want you back, okay? I hope you enjoyed that little duet where I tinkled a little with Richard as he was, I got rhythm. I'm thinking, have I got rhythm? You know that moment when you think, somebody said to me, how did he remember all those tunes without music? I thought, hello, I've been with you for 105 sessions. What do you want? However, it was so great to have him, and Val, if you're watching, and Richard, if you're watching.
Lovely to have you.
Lovely to have you, and when we can afford you, we'll have you back. So send in those donations now, and remember, his CD is coming out. He's recording it very, very soon for Christmas.
Yes, we'll let you know.
We'll let you know as soon as we've got it.
Can you remember what
it's
song
a
you're
pretty good
singing?
crowd. I believe we'll be here, something for a Sunday. Manager, well, she gives me a reluctant smile.
Never.
On November the 6th, on kind of fireworks, post-fireworks.
Yes, bonfire weekend.
I doubt that. It's going to be fireworks month, isn't it now?
Yes.
I'll talk about that in a minute, because she knows, quite rightly, that it's me. It's the face, it's the music, it's the voice, it's the personality. It's, I think we'll go back to the looks. They've been coming to see. I mean, you know, shouldn't you hide your face? I mean, look at you. You're a horror, aren't you?
Okay.
What?
See if I can find it.
What's that? Oh, here we go. Test card, is it?
I can't work it.
No, you can't work it. So it serves you right. Because Rachel's off tonight, so we're on. To forget about life for a while. Oh, and the piano, it sounds like a carnival. And the microphone, it smells like a beer. And they sit at the bar and put bread in my jar and say, man, what are you doing here? La la la, la la la, la la la, la la la, la la. Come on now, everybody, all over the country, sing it with me now, and sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling all right. Lovely song this, and let's celebrate tonight. It's one of these moments by Bryn Hareworth, the title track of the album. These are the moments that we love so well, precious moments caught within a spell. All too soon our lives, they fade away. And these are the moments that we wish would stay. And if I had my life to live again, I would choose to be with you, my friend. Time moves slowly, yet it goes so fast. And who knows how long the days will last. So cherish today. Let the moments linger, for tomorrow steals away. Tomorrow steals that away. Lives like stories that we long to tell. When we're old and not too much to say, we'll have the memories that we made today. We'll have the memories that we made. I simply love that song.
Yeah, lots of people love that song. It is just so beautiful.
It is.
So beautiful.
And those of you who don't know the story, and I just always remind people of this, that there I was at home about to do the second lockdown album, and we were trying to think of songs to put on it, if you remember, and I couldn't think of one. I knew Bryn Howarth was coming on to...
We had most of them,
Yeah,
I think,
most of
in
them.
place, but there was a sort of a gap, and we didn't
And
quite
Bryn was
know
coming
what
on to
do.
play.
He was, yeah.
And Bryn was coming on to play on the album, as he has done on very many of my albums. One of the most phenomenal slide guitar players in the world, actually, and I think everybody knows that that's the case. And he was coming on, and I just thought, well, I didn't know what to ask him to do, so I phoned him and said, something. He said, well, actually, would you consider doing, because I've recorded some of his songs, would you consider doing one of my songs? And I was a little bit, that moment when I felt
I could hear the
snookered.
conversation going on. I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting.
Could be difficult, could be difficult. And I didn't, and he said, look, I've never done this in my life. And he got the guitar next to the phone, which is something you never do.
No.
And he just said, I'm going to pitch you this song on the phone. And he sung the song, and because we were going through so much stuff with the kidney dying, was I going to die, live, and all the rest of it, moments, and he said, I believe this song is for you right at this moment. He said, I gave it to a very famous singer who had it, and then she died. She died when she was younger. And it was her favourite song. And he said, and he played it down the phone. And as he was playing it, I was weeping. I mean, really weeping. And I just said, okay, Brent, it's in. And I came off the phone, I said to Sue, that's the song.
New song.
That's the one. And so much so that we called it Moments.
It is a beautiful song, and it was very significant for us.
Yep.
And Helen Paul, it's very significant for you. I know you've had a really tough week this week, lovey, and your uncle has died, and it's been a really difficult week. And you did ask for that, and I said it's already in the programme. So for you and for so many of you who are struggling with tough weeks, let's just take one moment at a time, these good moments that we can have.
Okay, and this one for... I haven't done this for a long time. It was an old Blue Eyes song, Frank Sinatra. And I love this because I love melancholy songs. And I'm going to do this one and one together, Fields of Gold. When I recorded, just remember when I recorded this album, I didn't know. I recorded and I picked songs that deliberately, they were quite melancholy, but they spoke about if I wasn't ever going to record again, then these were the songs that I wanted down and for posterity, for my family, for my wife. And Fields of Gold was one of those. And it's just one lovely song. But this song was just a beautiful song by Frankie. in the wee small hours of the morning, while the whole wide world is fast asleep. You lie awake and think about the girl, and never ever think of counting sheep. When your lonely heart has learned its lesson, you'd be hurt if only she would call in the wee small hours of the morning. That's the time you miss her most of all. When your lonely heart has learned its lesson, you'd be hers if only she would call in the wee small hours of the morning. That's the time you miss her most of all. It's got to go on the next album. Did you enjoy that, Sue?
It was beautiful. As is this.
And I sing this for my wife.
Good-o.
When the west wind moves upon the field of barley, you'll forget the sun in his jealous sky as we walk in fields cold. So she took her love for decades wide on the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? We'll forget the sun in his jealous sky as we lie in fields of gold. I never made promises lightly. There have been some that I broke up, but I swear in the days still left, we will walk in fields of gold. We will walk in fields Play for me. I've never made promises lightly. There have been some that I've broken. Oh, but I swear, in the days still there, we will walk in fields of gold. We will walk in fields of gold. Many years have passed since those summer days among the fields of barley. See the children run as the sun comes down, as we walk the fields of gold. You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky among the fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold, when we walked in fields of If we can find any fields of gold soon, we shall try and walk in them.
We'll
That's
go
the
walking in
idea.
them. Well,
Now-
that was pretty awesome.
Was that?
Yeah, it was
I
beautiful.
thought some nice couple of
lovely.
songs.
Nice
How
couple
did
of
you
songs.
like the Frankie? Did you like the Frankie?
Oh, I like that Frankie one. Ever since I heard it, I thought, oh, I love that.
It's
And
got my name on it.
yeah,
It's
got your name
melancholy.
on it. I spend a lot of time doing that. Hear songs and go, ooh, I can hear Jonathan doing that.
Yeah.
And sometimes he says, no. Sometimes he picks them up.
Well, yeah. Sometimes I think actually things like Frankie, that whole American songbook. I mean, Mark and I, in the 1 and 2, lockdown sessions 1 and 2, we've tried over the years to get more and more into. And then when the record company wasn't doing it, we were able to choose the songs that we wanted to do. And some of them, I think there are songs on those albums that will live past me, and that people will go, oh yeah, I remember when he sung that. I'm going to sing another one from a bit later on. But now, fireworks. What? It's very interesting, isn't it? I watched. There was what alerted me to this too, as I saw a post from the SNP, all right,
Yes.
the Scottish government, and it said on this big post, don't stay at home and have fireworks. Go out to an organised display.
Okay.
And on the thread, it was interesting. They said don't do it at home because it causes damage and it can I think our neighbours next door, I think they love fireworks. They're from China. They're from Hong Kong.
We've had a lot of fireworks.
We've had a lot of
already.
fireworks, and they love their fireworks, as do a lot of people. And as it was at 11:45 last night, so people waited until 11:45 to do the really big ones. And it was interesting. I as a child, I was terrified of them. And everybody, it was interesting looking at the post, at the thread that I'd looked at. And I would say that 90% of the posts that were up said, I hate them, I don't like fireworks, I think they should all be banned. If they're going to be done, then do it in the park, but don't have them, don't sell them, don't allow people. And of course, they said, after all, they're explosive. So if somebody throws a firework at you...
and there's always an accident or...
Yeah, there is. There's
15,
always. And
there?
well, the fire brigade are always up and running on the day. But what do you think? Do you like fireworks? Are you a bit of a firework person? I have no idea. You may be really against it. You may say, ban them all! And of course, Elizabeth Ormiston said, let's have some quiet songs tonight, calm songs, because all dogs everywhere were terrified. Well, I mean, I don't know all dogs, but a lot of dogs were, I imagine. Actually, when we had Bonnie, she would always, you remember, she would always, during firework night, she would always be upstairs in the boys' bedroom. She would slink upstairs.
I can remember having my mum's dog here once, and he was a little Cavalier King Charles, and he was in what is effectively now the Steinway room, but in the time had an upright piano in it. And he jumped onto the piano keys. Yeah. Literally, this little dog was so shocked he sort of landed on the piano keys, which made it all worse for him because he was making lots of noise.
Well, no, actually, he wrote quite a good song at that time. It's quite a talent. You forget that. But Bonnie was always terrified. I was just thinking, actually, now, enough about fire. You may just write in the thread and see if Sue will try and try it. But bearing in mind, Sue is running the show tonight because Rachel is working at the theatre tonight, so can't be done.
So we miss her. We miss her terribly.
We miss her. But we do. But Sue's doing a fantastic job. Loads of hearts, please. Loads of encouragement for Sue because she's doing really well. And I'm trying to keep to the programme because this tonight is an easier programme. But we've got a wonderful guest for you tonight. They've come and had tea with us this afternoon.
Lovely people.
And
we love them dearly.
2 weekends, 2 lovely lots of guests. Richard last week. I know you loved Richard, and we will have him back. And we're putting the collection jar out so we can have him back because he is quite an extraordinary gift. And I know some of you enjoyed the duet that we played together. And next time we'll practice. We'll actually give it a shot before we do it next time. Now I just want to say also I just want to ask a question. I just want to ask, which other politicians would you like to go to the jungle permanently? I'm just asking. Okay. So, bye-bye, Matt, bye-bye, Birdie, bye-bye. All right, that's it. Off you go, Matt, and take your 400,000. And apparently he's giving some to charity.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
Good man.
£10.
Yeah.
So, it's all looking good. It's all looking good. And we're led by donkeys.
We were going to say
yes,
that we've just had a lovely trip up to Lincoln.
We did.
And that was lovely. So, Sue and Peter York, if you're watching tonight, thank you for working hard.
And we worked jolly hard as well.
People. We did.
And got home and we were wiped out the day after. But we also saw, on the way home,
we
saw the Coopers.
On lovely Michael and Lorraine Cooper, who gave us a lovely cup of coffee and a biscuit. That was exactly what...
A ginger nut. I haven't had a ginger nut, Fred, so thank you for that ginger nut. He doesn't allow me to have ginger nuts.
His favourites. But it was just lovely to see them and have a little natter with them. And I'm sorry that we can't go around the country visiting everyone. But
sorry. So don't... just in case you're thinking, we'll pop in for a cup of tea. Life is quite
full at the moment.
And... lots of illness in the family, in my side of the family, so we're trying to just make sure that we balance our lives up properly, especially when we're doing a show like tonight. Now, the guests we've got in for you tonight, we've been having a cup of tea and a pizza and a sandwich. They're old friends. Peter and Tanya have come, and Peter, he's the CEO of Prison Fellowship. Now we're going to talk to him about his life and what led him to. He's had a very interesting existence. We won't get all of it, but we'll get some of it. And he's just a lovely fella, and known him for so many years. And Sue will introduce him a little bit later on in the show. Meanwhile, I think what we're going to do is we're going to have, just to remind you all of the fact why we're here, why it started. Remember, it was those 2 verses. Well, one was from a Bible and one was from Wordsworth. And it said, inasmuch as you've done it to the least of my brethren, you've done it unto me. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. And when I was in prison, you visited me, which is the third one tonight, is very appropriate.
It is.
But inasmuch as you've done it, and whatever you do, in essence, is what Jesus was saying there, you do it unto me. Now, you don't have to be a Christian. And as many of you know, this is a community of faith and no faith. And you join us, whoever you are, from wherever you are in the country, and whatever country you're joining us from. And we welcome you, and we encourage kindness. And remember, the other one was Wordsworth. That better part of a man, those little unremembered acts of love and of kindness. And that's what we hope you continue to show as you do on the community page and across the tub. Now, just to remind you, this is what we all recorded not long ago when we all recorded Lockdown Sessions 1 and you sent in your recordings. This is what happened. When you're down and troubled and you need some love and care, nothing, well, nothing is going right. Close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you gotta do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You got a friend.
You just served me the smallest cup of coffee. Right? Be grateful.
Looking full of clouds, and that old north wind begins to blow. Keep your head together now and call my name out loud. Soon I'll be knocking at your door. Oh, you just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Oh, oh, oh. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you gotta do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. Now ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you and take your soul if you let them. But don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you gotta do is call, and I'll be there. Yes, I will. You got a friend. Oh, darling, you got a friend. My sweet darling, you got a friend. Oh, honey, you got a
Well, lots of lovely, happy memories. And where's the old man? There he is. Look, we found him. There he is. This is a lovely version of How Great Thou Art for our very good friend, David Goodwin. David, you and Sandra have continued to have really nasty weeks, and we're sorry that you've had labyrinthitis, chickenpox, as well as everything else. And Jonathan sang How Great Thou Art at your wedding a number of years ago, because we have known you a very long time. And yes, he thought that it would be nice to sing it with a guitar this evening. So this is for David and Sandra this evening, but also Diana Harrison. Your birthday's coming up on the 11th, which will be, is it Thursday, Friday, something like that? Thursday, I think, Friday. Anyway, whatever. Whenever it's your birthday, happy birthday, Diana.
There we go. When I in awesome wonder consider all the works thy hand hath made, I see the stars, I hear the mighty thunder, thy power the universe display. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think that God His Son not sparing sent Him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross my burden gladly bearing, He bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then shall I bow with humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art.
Well, that was rather special.
I like.
That was rather
I hope
lovely.
you like this new guitar and this. I'm going to point out something to you.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
My wife,
Oh.
this new guitar, she pulled the carpet down. No, I lent it rather stupidly against something, and it's bent it all the way round there. This
It wasn't that I picked up the guitar and hit him around the head with it.
Although that was tempting.
Although, yes, I have been tempted,
Anyway,
particularly with the banjo.
But the good news is, I received today from Northern Ireland that where it was made, and it was made for us. And Steve McElrath, who runs Avalon Guitars, wrote to me and said, "Don't worry, Johnny, everything is fine. It's winging its way to you now, so it'll probably arrive while I'm away working over the next few days." Anyway, I hope you like the jacket and all the smartness. Do you like the jacket?
I do,
Is it
I
a
do.
good look?
It looks very good.
With this from New Zealand. People didn't know where this came from, did they? Did I explain to them?
No, I don't think you did actually.
No,
I don't
this
think
came
you
from
did.
New Zealand when I was working with Kiriti Kanua doing Don Giovanni over in New Zealand, and I was done a lot of work with the Maori children. And in fact, Matthew and Daniel and Nicholas were with us, and I did other stuff and did a lot of telly for them, to promoting work amongst the poorer of the Maori tribes. And I was given this in recognition of thanking me for that. Now that was 25, 26 years ago. And you're not supposed to take it off. The next time it's a symbol of friendship. Next time you take it off, you hand it on to somebody else. So stand by, those of you out there. Who's going to get it from me? That's the question. Should it be a son or should it be a good friend? Well, I don't know. But let's just see. I'm leaving my loft to my children. I went up there the other day. I think that's what they're going to get from me. Oh my goodness, there are things up there that have been up there since around about 35 years ago when we first came here. And I've made the loft ladder, hatch, smaller. I didn't think about it, of course, being me. So now we can't get, those hard cases. I'm going to have to get a chainsaw or something up there. And there's a television with a back on it that big at the back. So I'm going to have to straight down the middle. Hacksaw, that will do it. Anyway, this song I'm going to sing for you. And then we're going to have some notices, and then we're going to have our special guest, Pete. Stand by for a lovely, lovely interview with Pete Holloway, a man of many parts indeed, and what a story he has to tell. As you know, I always try and get people in who are inspirational and have stories, people that can encourage us and, take us on from where we are today. If it's not been a good day, then by the time you've ended this interview and this show, you feel better for being here. Anyway, this song, I love this song. It's from the Lockdown Sessions 2, which is called Moments, and I recommend you get that. We got a few in the shed that we'd love to get rid of, and we'd love you to buy them if you haven't got one. And this song is called Misty.
1, 2, 3.
Look at me, I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree, and I feel like I'm clinging to a cloud. I can't understand, I get misty just holding your hand. Walk my way, and 1,000 violins begin to play, or it might be the sound of your hand, that music I hear. I get misty whenever you're near. Don't you know that you're leading me on? But it's just when I want you That's why I'm following you. On my own. Should I wander through this wonderland alone, never knowing my right foot from my left, my hand from my glove? I'm too misty, too much in love. Thank you, Mr. Bencastle. Sound of your hello, that music I hear, I get misty whenever you're near. Oh, I get misty. I'm too misty. I'm too misty and too much in love. Fantastic. Mark Edwards on piano, Arnie Sotheby on bass,
Wonderful.
and Darren E. Beckett on drums. What an absolute fantastic trio. They've been playing together a lot, and they were recently just at Ronnie Scott's playing, and so they were on my album.
Just wonderful.
It's fairly cool.
Wonderful.
Sue, do you know what? We've got to get on, move on.
Let's move on and just do a quick whiz through some notices. We've been having a pretty hectic time of something every week, and it hasn't stopped yet. So this coming Saturday, we're up to Sheffield, and I know that it will be fantastic, and there will be lots of people there that we know from the JV community. So as usual, come and say hello, and it'll be a great evening. The following week, we're in Bourton-on-the-Water, so if you are in Gloucestershire, Cotswolds, somewhere like that, you need to come along to see us, or tell your friends to come along and see us. Then on the 26th, Jonathan's getting very excited because it's Christmas with JV and the band, and he's excited about everything to do with this, about being with the band, about doing the Christmas songs, and it's going to be just a fantastic evening with Mark Edwards and Matt Weeks and Phil Crabb on the drums.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Thank you. Just in case we weren't sure what you might do. So yes, that will be on the 26th of November. And then the following Friday, we're going to be in Stoke Gifford, and we're going to be seeing Derek and team there. So that's at St Michael's Centre in Stoke Gifford near Bristol. Again,
he'll be on the show next year. A fantastic story to tell.
Oh yes, Derek, you'll be on show next year. Be warned. And then in the new year, we're going to be zipping up to Shrewsbury. Now, the good news is that more dates are beginning to come in for next year. And I just wanted to take a moment just to say a sort of a word about this, that a lot of people are a bit concerned about if they do a show, how they're going to do it, because they've never done anything before. I've just taken a booking from someone, you'll be pleased to know this, some of you, Southport, for next June. And the lovely lady said, oh, I've never organised anything like this before. And I've said to her, do not worry, because if you organise a show, I help you every step of the way. And we give you publicity, and we give you lots of material to help you, and lots of hints and tips on how to actually motivate people and how to get a crowd of people there. So you're not doing it just on your own. And so please don't worry about it. If you sort of, oh, I'd like to do it, and the vicar would like to have it, but actually, I don't know whether we can. You can, because we will help you. It's not a problem. So if you're thinking about it, just contact me, and we'll talk a bit about it. So that would be fantastic. Now, we are going to be carrying on with a few more dates before Christmas in the Steinway room. So on the 20th, which is in 2 weeks' time, we've got lovely Steve Legg with his beautiful wife, Becca, coming and having a lovely time with us. And they'll be talking about the things that they do. So Steve will be doing some magic, and Becca will be doing some inspirational stuff, I reckon. And yes, Sharon, Southport, your town. We're coming to your town in June. I knew you'd pick that one up. So 27th of June, 27th of November, we're going to have Ian Hamilton in here in the room, and he's great. He's got another inspirational story, and it's going to be
charity,
fascinating.
The Compassion UK.
And then in December, we got lovely Mark Edwards coming to just tinkle these ivories yet again, and to make it sound absolutely amazing.
Or as they said last week, as Cindy said last week, at last, someone who can play the piano.
She said it was lovely to see the piano being played, but that was about the visual, but you took it wrongly. And then on the 11th, we are going to do a Christmas thing. So that's what we're going to be doing. So we will be having about 4 evenings in the Steinway room before Christmas, all being well. That's if we don't die of exhaustion on the way.
That's not far from the truth. Go on, Sue.
So, if you are on YouTube, you'll know about this. So what we want you to do is to click on the thumb to say, yes, you like it. Click on the subscribe button. It won't cost you a penny. But what will happen is that we will get more and more numbers, and it will mean that actually we can then get extra things once we reach the 1,000. So we're heading for 1,000 people now on YouTube. And as soon as we put anything up there, any more music videos, you will get a notification because you have subscribed. So it's worth doing, folks. So please do that. If you want to write to me at all, you can do that on sue@jonathanveira.com. So that's if you have any questions, or you want Jonathan to sign something for you, or you bought something in the shop, you want to sign it, then that's easy. Just write to me about that. And if you have a question about perhaps hosting a Jonathan Veira show, and you're thinking, oh, I don't really know what's involved, I'd like to know a bit more, then that's what you need to do. Just write to me, sue@jonathanveira.com. The website, which is jonathanveira.com, has got the shop on it. So it's got all the CDs, all the books, and I will bundle them up and post them out to you. Jonathan will sign everything before I send it. It's also got the calendar. So all those dates that I was talking about, and you're saying, oh, I think someone said so, and said something about Bourton on the Water, and you don't know anything more about it, it is all on the website. But again, if you want to know something and you haven't found it on the website, write to me at sue@jonathanveira.com.
Right, I think that's it. We will talk about YGAF in a second.
We will.
Because I think we've got to get my friends.
Okay, let me find the
and
video.
Colleague in work. We've done work with Prison Fellowship for some time, and we're going to get him in just after this little video. I think, are we there?
Right down the bottom.
And it's right down the bottom, but here it comes.
Just as I am, without one plea, but that your blood was shed for me, and that you bid me come to thee. Just as I am, and waiting thoughts to rid my soul of one dark loss, to you whose blood can cleanse each spot, O Lamb of God, I come. And as we're drawing near to Your grace alone is all we need. Oh, Lamb of God, I come. Just as I am, though tossed about with many a conflict, many a doubt, fightings within and fears without. Just as I am, for wretched blind, sight rich is healing of the mind. Yes, all I need in you to find. Oh, Lamb of God, I come. And as we're drawing near to you, your constant love will guide us through. Your grace alone is all we need. Oh, Lamb of God, I just as I am, you will receive the welcome pardon, cleanse, relief, because you promise, I believe. Just as I am, the love unknown has broken every barrier down. Now to be yours, yes, yours alone. Oh, Lamb of God, I come. And as we're drawing near to you, your constant love will guide us through. Your grace alone is all we need. Oh, Lamb of God, I come. And as we're drawing near to you, your constant love will guide us through. Your grace alone is all we need. Oh, Lamb of God. Oh, Lamb of God, I come.
And we're back. And we're back with our guest.
Are you on screen soon?
I'm not on screen. No,
Okay.
I can't work out how to
Right,
do
well,
that.
I'm unfortunately, and this is the thing, you can't have three people, but what we have is a very special person here. Now, some of you may remember way back when, in the thing that I can't remember whether you remember anything that was it's called lockdown, and which was not a word that we ever used in the English language for anything apart from prison. Strangely enough,
It is true.
and how incredible that's what we were in. Well, during that time, I got Pete on Zoom, or was it on the telephone? I think it might well have just been on the telephone, yeah,
the
before we had that technology.
Pre-Zoom.
Pre-Zoom, think of that, a
very
word that
early
we
on,
never thought we'd
very
use.
early on.
Apart from rocket ships. And but Pete, welcome to the room.
Lovely to be with you. Face to face.
Face to face, finally. And it's great, isn't it? Having sandwiches, talking. It's lovely to see Tanya. Tin is sitting in the other room, and such a great support for Pete during his life, as he has been with her. They've had some difficult times recently, medically, and it's nice to see them here on the background of Jonathan Veira. I'm sorry I couldn't have Pete Holloway at the back there. That would be better and not so egocentric. Pete, welcome here. And how are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm a bit stiff. We'll talk about that later.
Yes, you have.
The
You
fact
have.
that I'm out of the house
Yeah.
is just so good. So good.
Well, we've got some nice things coming up for you as well. We've got a special surprise for you, and that's to come. But we start off, Pete, because I like to get people in the room who have a story to tell. Story, I think. Well,
I've got myself on screen. Oh,
sorry.
Jonathan's clock's telling him the
The
time.
clock has just told me it's 21.
I've just got myself on the screen. I've remembered where the button was.
All right, here
I'm
you
on
are.
the screen.
Well, in which case, Sue, if you're there,
I'm here.
you're
Now,
the one who can introduce me.
I need to point out that actually Pete and I have known one another for a lot longer than Jonathan and I have known one another.
Oh, yeah.
We've met at a church in, where was it, Peter?
Well, Middlesex,
It
if there's
was.
such a thing.
Yes.
But,
exactly.
Yeah. Dear old Laleham.
Dear old Laleham.
My roots, yes.
Yes, because
absolutely.
you lived and were you born in?
No, I was
Laleham?
not born in Laleham. I was born in Yeovilton.
Oh,
In
Yeovilton.
West Country. And
Oh,
up until
right.
the age of 5, I used to say things like tractor.
A tractor.
And I lived in a caravan.
Oh, quick.
Which,
Which
yeah,
Jonathan is
it's
going to
picture
show
of
you
amazing.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
This was where, that's it. That's,
So that's
where I
where-
lived for the first 5 years of my life.
Okay, and you've got two brothers, so were they
Yeah.
around as well?
No, they weren't around.
Oh, so it's
No,
just
no,
you and your
that
parents.
Was Phil came a little after that when we moved to Shepperton initially.
Right.
We moved up from the West Country. Dad came up on his motorbike and he stayed with the local vicar because that was what you did in those days. Old Desmond.
Yeah.
Oh,
Took him
Desmond.
in.
Desmond Guinness, yes, of the
Oh,
Guinness family, yeah.
Yeah, with the Guinness family, and he stayed with Desmond for a while he's had his interview at British Airways because he'd been in the Navy. He was
Right.
a Navy man. That's why we lived in the caravan.
Yeah.
Yeovilton Air Base. He was away on the Ark Royal, Hermes,
Oh my-
all the big ships.
Oh my goodness.
And that
Your
is part of
dad.
my history.
Is he
because
listening tonight?
He'll be listening later because he's doing the readings in church tonight.
All right, okay. When he is, Bill, we love you.
We do,
Such
we
a
do.
miss seeing you, my friend.
Yeah.
It's such a major influence on our lives, definitely.
His dad was in the First World War in ships. He was a stoker, managed to survive amazingly, and then Dad went into ships and aeroplanes as well.
Yes.
And that set my path to some ways. You know, I had a great childhood, and one of the things I remember was always working on stuff with Dad. And I was always taking something apart. We never had a tradesman near the place.
Oh, I'm like this then, so complete opposite.
Complete opposite, yeah. And he would just do everything, you know. And sometimes it was good and sometimes not so much. Now I look back. And the motor caravan that was originally a bread van that was painted by hand with, I shall say, what do I call it, mud brown. There's
Thank you for the show. All right, it goes to Mark, yeah.
Two colours of mud.
Okay.
And we used to travel around in that, and it was such a great time. And I always knew I was loved. That's the thing. I as I get older,
Yeah.
and because of my work, which we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah.
One of the things that now I really reflect on is the whole of my life, I've known I was loved unconditionally, and I now realise as I get older that some people didn't have that. And then we went to Laleham, and Sue
Yes.
was
Yes,
there,
I
as
was.
were all these other beautiful girls, all these older girls that used to swan in with all their lovely
By the way,
stuff,
did you
yeah.
notice what you said there?
Yeah.
These older girls.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
they were. I was a
Well,
young
yes,
chap then,
you
yeah.
were in the school. You were in the church choir.
In the
That's how
church
I first
choir,
spotted you. You were in the
yeah.
church
Al's
choir.
probably on tonight. His
Yes.
dad used to run it. We used to cause trouble for him all the time, which was great fun. And then I had a little ruff on and big
You
curly
did.
hair
You did.
and all
You
that
did.
malarkey.
You were very cute, actually.
Well,
You were a
thank
very
you.
sweet little
Thank
boy.
you very much.
Yes. So he was sort of, yes, he was in the sort of the lower age group of this extraordinary church that we went to, wasn't it? It was amazing. It had it was a small village church, but it had this enormous youth group, didn't
I
it?
did.
Can I just read something to
Oh,
you?
okay, go for
Yeah.
it.
This is, remember we had, guys, remember that lovely man in Chris Wynn who worked with Terry Wogan and all of that kind of great author. Many of you have got his books now. We're going to be advertising many for Christmas in the JV Steinway Room Market, Christmas Market. This is because it was the River Thames. This it says I never knew that about the River Thames, and in here is a special little section on All Saints Laleham.
There you go.
Isn't that? And it says All Saints, but dates to the 12th century and retains its massive Norman pillars inside the Lucan Chapel while the Lucan chapel is Tudor. Buried in the churchyard is the third Earl of Lucan, under whose orders Lord Cardigan, born upstream at Hambledon, led the charge of the Light Brigade at the Battle of Balaclava in 1814. Also buried there is poet Matthew Arnold. I didn't know that.
Oh yes,
Matthew Arnold School.
Yeah,
Of course,
the
man who described Oxford as the city of He was born in Laleham in the house where his father Thomas Arnold ran a private school, perhaps England's first prep school. Well, I didn't know that.
Could be.
The house is no more, demolished anyway. But there we are. And that was in it's the first thing you looked up, wasn't it?
It was
Laleham,
first thing I looked up.
It's
Yes.
a 12th century church, but it batted way above its.
Oh, it did.
Oh, it did. And it had a youth group, and one of my first encounters with Jonathan was every summer we'd have these things called house parties, and there'd be about 200 young people would go away with all these men and women who would look after us, cook for us.
Older
all
guys,
that
weren't
stuff,
they?
Older guys, and they do, they spend a lot of time making sure that we didn't go off and get killed and all that kind of stuff. And Jonathan and Sue would often come along and do the singing, do the worship and speak and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just a great introduction to life with other people. I've got friends from that era who, if I called up now, loads of them, and said, look, I'm in trouble, could you give me a hand? They'd say, when?
And I'll say one who's two that are watching now.
Yeah.
Al Duncan,
Absolutely.
Al and Lorna.
Yeah.
Are you watching
Great
from a
friends.
caravan somewhere?
Yes.
Why are you doing that? I don't know why you're doing it. You're
Why are
mad.
they doing that?
Anyway, but Al, who's been a great friend to this community, but that's to name one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was when we started understanding about prison a little bit, because Tanya's uncle, he used to go to Felton Borstal.
Great friend, Mark.
As it was
Yes, yes, it
and
was.
he said, I think you should go in, And I thought, well, that might get me in with a family, because there's this girl I like, Tanya, now my wife. So I thought this was a good plan. So we'd go in once a month. We had no idea what we were doing. We just wander in. There was no security. These guys were high on drugs.
Yes.
And you would sing some songs.
Not us, by the way. We weren't high on drugs. They were high on drugs. Just be clear.
They were quite mean with them. They never shared.
They never shared.
They never shared.
Have it and pass it, mate,
And that was my first
This is
encounter
our
in prison.
past.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and it was great fun, and that was my first prison encounter.
Yeah, it's quite. That was Felton. Yeah,
Felton Borstal.
Yeah. And then I joined the London Manual Choir.
Of course.
Yeah, and we used to go touring, and again we used to go to prisons. And I used to sing in those days before I completely messed up my voice.
You haven't messed up the voice.
And,
You've still got it. You haven't tried it.
A guy.
You need help. We'll help.
Well, you can help. Yeah,
I will.
Yeah. I tell you what. Have you ever had anybody strip tease in one of your songs, John? Because I have.
Hold on, I'm just thinking back to that one.
Yeah.
Sue did it once, but I told her never to do it again.
No.
You
There
know
I
that.
was in the chapel singing away, and this guy decided this was not only the time to protest his innocence. The way to do it was to take all his clothes off. I just kept singing. So that was my second time in prison.
It's going awfully well.
Yeah, it's going really well.
So by now you're probably in your late 20s, early 30s?
Yeah, I joined BA. BA was great for me. It was a big old privately owned company that had been publicly owned.
Yes.
When I joined, it was so inefficient and terrible.
Terrible.
But it was a great place to be. You could get a career, you could change careers. I went from being an aircraft engineer to being an HR.
In fact, let's not be modest here. You ended up as about number 4 in the company.
Well, I was in the top 50 out of 40,000.
Yeah, that will do.
It was a good time. I really enjoyed it. And then around sort of midlife, around my 40s, Mum died. She got cancer, died very quickly.
Tell us a bit about that, because she was
a
a very dear woman. She was a very hard woman.
She was a very hard woman.
She was.
I've got 3 brothers and a father, and we always said there were 4 men in the house. And the one that wasn't supposed to be was the toughest.
She was.
She was a tough
By
woman.
miles, wasn't she?
Yeah. She told us what to do, and we did it. And she was usually right.
Yes.
And she died very quickly, in terms of 6 months.
It was.
That was it, and she was gone.
I remember actually, just on that, because I know many people in the community got cancer treatment at the moment. Got so many people who are waiting, and cancer treatment has come on so fast since your mum died. And many of them, we think of them, we saw great results for Michael Cooper yesterday. We got Lynn, also, who's had a bit of a stay, and she's part of it, and many others.
Yeah.
But I remember at that time, we were living in London, I think.
We were.
We were living in London, in London, Stratton. And we heard, and it was like somebody from the family heard, and we said, what do you mean she's ill? It didn't seem possible that your mum...
No.
Because she was such a force in your life, wasn't she?
She
And
was.
definitely in ours.
Yeah, she was,
Because
definitely.
we were only young people.
Yeah,
we were
she
20-something young people.
Yeah.
when we got
She was
to know.
very no nonsense, but just so true and such a woman of integrity. And yes, but
Commanded your dad. She was the commanding officer.
Yes.
I mean,
She was.
But she was such a support too. I mean, she and your dad really believed in what Jonathan was doing in those early days, didn't they? And they would
She
really,
loved Jonathan.
yeah.
I loved her because she was straightforward.
Yeah,
You knew where you were with her.
Yeah.
There was no mealy mouth stuff.
Yeah.
It was if she said this, she
Yeah.
meant that. It was a
Yeah.
real. And I think your dad. I don't think you should
Bill.
underestimate, Bill,
Yeah.
the influence that you had on me as a man of integrity
Yeah.
that I wanted to look up to. There weren't many,
No,
and he was what he said on the tin.
he was. Absolutely.
But you talked about how it affected you. Talk to me a bit about
I
that.
think for me, I'd been successful at BA. Things were going really well. Life was just trotting along, and I think Mum passing was one of the first things that made me stop and think, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Because actually, Tony won't like me saying this. Sorry, love, but Mum's not much older when she died than I am now.
No.
And this was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what do I want my life to be for? And Tanya and I talked about this a lot at that time, over the 5 years from Mum dying to us moving out of the country, actually.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was about, okay, well, we've had this faith put into us, and we understand about God, but what does it actually mean in our lives? Could it mean more? Should it mean more? And actually, we came to the decision that faith could no longer be private. I was always very private with my faith. I always kept it close in my heart, didn't talk about it much. I was always a bit bashful in a public space. But I came to realise that actually faith should be lived out, and it should be, as I'd seen modelled by those older people.
Yeah.
Just person after person, not talking washy-washy about love, but just living it out day by day by day.
Yeah. Getting it done.
Getting it done. And the problem with work was it was all-encompassing, and it had taken over too much of my life.
It did, didn't it? I remember that. I remember having you here one Christmas for our Christmas celebration. You came in your striped suit. I knew only one person that could wear it, and you could wear it well. And you came in that, and you were stressed.
Yeah.
You were so stressed that night. And I remember thinking, gosh,
Yeah.
this was before I had my
Yeah.
breakdown and everything else.
Yeah.
And I think maybe high performers, this is some of the thing that happens, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is, and I think you don't want to let things go. You want to do everything well. Family, you want to do this, do that, and what happens is you just end up just washing yourself out.
Yeah.
And we got to the point of saying, well, something's got to change, and that meant moving to Switzerland. Strangely,
Yeah.
Rather extreme.
We visited
was
you
not
there.
expected.
I remember it was the most, I'll just say, surreal moment when I got to your house. We drove over,
Yeah.
didn't we? We drove
you did, yeah.
through
We did.
France.
Yeah.
We did.
And we got to Switzerland, and
Yeah.
I worked quite a lot in Switzerland, with the operas, and then we went over to do a show there. And I remember coming to your house, and I went, "This is like
Yeah.
one of those."
It was a real chalet up in the mountains. It was
real deal.
extraordinary.
Completely, the whole thing.
And when you look out, I will never forget. I think we've
Yeah.
got the picture on my phone
Yeah.
somewhere. The picture,
The view from
your
your-
the view from your balcony.
Balcony.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was the Alps or whatever.
Well, it was the pre-Alps we lived in, and we lived at 1,000 feet. That was our house, and it was a chalet on the side. We thought we were going to live in Switzerland. Why not? What's the point of living in a normal place?
Yes, exactly. I didn't think you'd ever come home. Did you?
Well, I'm absolutely rubbish at French, and that was a French-speaking space,
Yeah,
and we were never. I mean, you know what I'm like.
Yeah.
I just, I could get.
You were
I could
fine.
get croissant, and I could get coffee, and I could get beer,
And the toilette.
and the toilet.
Où,
I could get,
où se trouve la banque,
But beyond that-
s'il vous plaît.
but there came a point when we thought, well, actually, where are we going to live long term?
Yeah.
Samuel, our son, had come back to the UK, and Hannah was, where does she live? And we were thinking, actually, Tanya kept saying to me, we need to go back because that's where the family's going to end up. And I was like, well, I'm enjoying this. I love the skiing.
You love the skiing, yeah.
I love this. And the reason we'd gone there was to work with an organisation that works with vulnerable people in the world.
Which
That was the whole point. An organisation
Medair.
called Medair. And they, worked in places like Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, all these places.
politically
which-
troubled places.
Politically and places of war. And I found it really easy to love those people. Part of going there was to say, I want to do something practical, to love people that haven't had what I've had. And that's what that was all about. And actually to love them in Jesus' name, that was that was the real impetus in the move.
But you had a major. I'm going to have a little break in a second, but just
Yeah.
tell us there was a major. Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, I can talk about it a bit.
A bit.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
talk about it
yeah.
a little bit.
We
When
were
we
in
were
our
there, we were
fourth
there
year
with
when
you.
you were there, and a few of our staff were kidnapped in Afghanistan, and it hit us like a ton of bricks. We practiced for this, we'd rehearsed, we had a whole crisis team, and I basically said, we were in French lessons with Tanya, and I said, I've got to go, and I didn't see her for 12 days. We stayed in the office and slept on mattresses on the floor until they came back, and I'm so thankful they came back, because there was a point at which I said, well, I was the HR director, I'd sent these guys there.
So you were
What
responsible
happens if they
in
don't
essence.
come back?
Yeah.
Because they were at the point where the Taliban were moving in, and if they had, it would have been game over. And fortunately, I know it's not popular to like David Cameron, but he was the one who sent the SAS in.
Never do what's popular.
So,
don't care.
For
Yeah.
me, he's okay.
Yeah. Yes. Because he saved your people.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
I remember the trauma that it caused at the
Yeah.
time, and it was to
Yeah.
you and to Tanya,
Yeah.
and it's that kind of loved ones thing. When people
Yeah.
do, we love stories. Can I just say this to all of you? We love stories of daring do. We love mission. We love missionary stories, particularly when we live in Guildford.
Yes.
We love them when we don't have to do them.
Yeah.
And actually, the people on the ground who do them,
Yeah.
they take massive risks
They do, yeah.
to help people and to assist, particularly when you're doing humanitarian aid and helping people, not just in spiritual ways, but in practical
Yeah.
ways.
Many of them women as well. This was the
Exactly.
thing.
So very vulnerable.
Amazingly powerful women who just had more strength in their little finger than I had my whole body.
And the
Amazing
Taliban
people.
are not great on
They're
women.
not great on women, no.
Can we just take a little break? And I
Yeah.
just going back to, you talked about Samuel.
Yeah.
This is going to be a bit of an emotional
Oh.
moment, I'm sure. But way back when, about 12 years ago, I recorded. It must be 12 now, or maybe more than that.
Yeah.
2010 was it? 12 or
Yeah,
13,
something like that.
So 2019.
Before that, yeah.
And I think Samuel's voice was still not broken.
It was.
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
26, and I said to him,
You've only got 5 more years.
and he has this beautiful soprano voice,
He did.
and he was late in developing the broken voice. So I wanted to do something which was beautiful, and I needed him in the studio. So I asked you to ask him,
Yeah.
and you did 2. You did what was the other one? A Christmas album, wasn't it? You did.
Yeah.
You did the
What was the song he did on the Christmas album? My Only Night. Anyway, whatever it was, we'll
It'll
think
come
about
to
that. But the one that always strikes me, and I decided to sing it for you and Tanya. I know she's always in tears whenever she hears it.
She is.
As we all are with children. When I do Child from then Daniel, I hear Daniel or Nick on the thing, or Matt singing on this. And when you're children, it gets you right here. I know. And so we're going to have a little moment. We take you off camera, and you've done that. And so let's have that song, shall we see? Many of you will know this one.
hides my ways in righteousness, and He anoints my head with oil, and my cup it overflows with joy. I feast on His beauty lights, and I will trust in You alone, and I will trust in You alone, for Your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me home. And though I walk the darkest path, I will not fear the evil one, for You are with me, and Your rod and staff are the comfort I need to know. And I will trust in You alone. Yes, I will trust in You alone, for Your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me home, and I will trust in You alone. Yes, I will trust in You alone, for Your endless mercy follows me. Your goodness will lead me
And that is particularly for David Clift
Yeah.
and for our dear friend John Penman. Do you want to fill them in on those
Yeah,
two?
David Clift, just a moment out to say that David had his transplant, and I'm particularly close to this and been in contact with David a lot. He was on my dialysis unit, and then he's been watching the shows ever since. And he had, fortunately, he was able to get a transplant. Unfortunately, it sounds like good news and bad news. Then he got an infection, and then something else happened, and then something else happened. And he managed to get home on Friday. Unfortunately, there's something to do with the cut itself, and I think he had a coughing fit before he left, and he had to go back in blue lighted to St George's again. So he's been in and around, but David, I haven't heard from you this evening, but I hope you're watching this from the hospital. You'll be in a few more days just to check that you're okay. But we really pray for this man, that the transplant will work and will hold. His creatinine levels have really gone down, which is a good thing. EGFR, his kidney count, I think, has gone up. So we're just hoping and praying for him and for lovely Ros, who we followed on the community, have had them on here in an interview. So we are really supporting you there, mate. And if we can do anything practical to help, then let us know. We will do that. As for John Penman, I spoke to him on text today. He had a major ending up. So what was the?
It was a bleed. Was
bleed
it?
on the
bleed
brain,
on the
I
brain.
think.
Unexpected, and a shock for the family.
John, we went up to Scotland to do a fantastic gig up there. It was bijou, small, but it was lovely. a lovely family he's got, and that family just rallied round and helped in an amazing way. John, we know we love you, and why have I suddenly just forgot Lynn, your wife, and we send you the best for a recovery. Take it easy, my dear boy. Okay, take it easy. It's something I don't ever do, but I'm saying to you, take it easy. That was your boy singing that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about listening to that now?
Do you know, there's a follow-up to that, because it's become such a special song to us. When we went to Switzerland, I was moving from the commercial sector into a charity job. You can imagine that there was a small pay difference. And Switzerland is one of the most expensive countries to live in the world. And when we got there, Sam had been having singing lessons, his voice was breaking. And so we said, let's get some singing lessons. We asked about them, and they were close to £100 an hour.
Oh.
Word.
And we just couldn't afford it. And I had to say to my 14-year-old son, we said there'd be changes if we took this job. And you said that was okay. I'm very sorry, but you can't have singing lessons. And it really broke my heart. It still, is quite raw. And for the year, I was just so cross. I was cross with God. I was cross with everyone about it. And a year later, he was at school and he had to sing a couple of pieces. And so we paid for 2 lessons, a lot of money, and just to get him through the exam.
I bought cars.
As you do. The next week, the singing lesson, the singing teacher called and said, I've just been teaching your Sam, And I said, yeah, thank you so much. He got through the thing. I thought it was a problem. She said, I went for a job at Meadow and I know what they pay. And I realised you won't be able to afford lessons. But Sam has such a beautiful voice. I really love listening to him. Sorry. Would you be okay if I gave him free lessons?
Oh, Lord.
And she took him to grade 8.
Oh, wow.
Right through all the whole lot. And it was just an example of such a wonderful act of kindness.
Yes, yes.
Which just blessed us.
Yeah.
Something chronic.
Yeah.
It was just beautiful. Yeah.
How wonderful.
Well, that's lovely. So listening to him again.
Yeah. Just hearing
You remember
voice
that? Do you
again.
remember that day in the studio? I remember.
Yeah, I remember it really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
And it was a long day, a long evening.
Yeah,
I
it was
seem to
good.
remember.
Yeah.
And we had to get it all together. And Mark Edwards and I we'd arranged this.
Yeah.
And we wanted it to be really atmospheric.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
that was where he came into it.
He did, yeah.
And did such a good job for
Yeah.
us. And then it was just one of those that people love on the album.
Yeah.
Years later, 12, 13 years later,
Yeah.
people are still buying it for that as
Yeah,
well
yeah.
as You Rose Me Up and a few others.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we're in Medair. We've had a major calamity.
Yeah.
You
The next
talked.
year was weird
Yeah.
because nothing seemed important.
Right.
When you've lived sort of like on that sort of what's going to happen thing, the next year was like, nothing seemed important.
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's just post-crisis kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it became clear that really we should go back to the UK, but I didn't know what to. And we got a call from a headhunter who said, look, there's this organisation called Prison Fellowship. Oh yeah, I know them. And Tanya was like, yeah, we should go. And I was like, I can't get my head around this.
No.
So I said no. And
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, yeah, a little bit probably you didn't know. And 6 months later, Tanya said, I was right, wasn't I? And I was like, yeah, you were right. We should have gone, and I should have taken that job. And I was like, I've done the wrong thing. I'm going to be spewed up out of the whale's belly or something crazy, because I've taken the wrong decision. Oh, my life's over. And we sort of like, okay, all right, well, we'll see what happens. And the next day or the day after, I think it was, we got an email saying, look, we appointed a chief executive to PF, and it didn't work out. We really would like you to come this time.
Did they interview or was that
yeah,
it?
there was a lot of the usual interviews and that kind of stuff, and that's how I found myself back in the UK and up in our Victoria office and travelling around the country with Prison Fellowship.
Well, tell us more, because I think quite a lot of people, they won't know necessarily the work of Prison Fellowship.
Sure.
Now, I think when I said about coming tonight, and one of the basis of our evenings is in as much as you've done it to the least of my brethren, and one of those injunctions is to when you visit me in prison.
Yeah.
It ain't sexy, is it, mate?
No,
it's not a sexy ministry. It's not. It's
No.
why? What is it about? Is it about dog whistle politics and
Yeah.
they've done it to themselves and it serves them right and let them rot in jail, etc.?
I think a lot of people, particularly, the further right you get, if you come off the end of the right, people can't get their head around the fact that actually these are people.
No.
I think what we do is we label. We're very good at labeling. We love to label everyone. Oh, he's a what, he's a she. We like to put people in buckets. And I think what we do with people in prison is that, for a start, we call them prisoners. So they're not people in prison. They're not people. They're not mothers. They're not fathers. They're not daughters. They're prisoners. And they're people who are criminals. And I always think to myself, would anyone here on this call like to be thought of as the worst thing that they'd ever done? I've not done some, I've done some things. We've all done stuff, haven't we? And if everything that we'd done that we didn't want laid bare was laid bare, how would we feel? I go around, and one of the things that, the red top papers never tell you is that what you find in prison when you go is that the people there are the most disadvantaged in our society. And that's where, that verse comes from, that actually what Jesus is saying is actually these are the least in society. These are the poor, these are the disenfranchised. And what you find is, these are people that have disproportionately had violence in their life. These are people who have not had much in their life. Now that doesn't excuse, hear me right, I'm not excusing crime, of course not. But I have often said to myself, if I had that person's life, I could not guarantee that I'd be sitting here now. And I could not guarantee that I would not have committed crime. If my children were hungry, what would you do? What would you do? And I don't think there's many of us who could honestly say, that they don't know for sure that if their family weren't hungry, they wouldn't commit crime. Now that doesn't excuse all crime, of course. But when I go round, I met a lad, reminded me of my son so much. He was actually an Islamic boy, lovely young man. And he'd been out, and it particularly spoke to me because, Al, you and I, we used to drive far too fast. We used to do all kinds of crazy stuff in cars. And what happened to him was he lost control and killed someone. Now,
life-changing.
Life-changing for that lad. He was a good Muslim boy. He did all the right things. And yet he went out with his lads and he just lost control and did something stupid. And I think, well, do we want that guy to have a second chance? Yes, he's going to pay his time, but what happens when he comes out? And what we're about is coming in and saying, look, you're loved. I see you as a person. I see you as someone who is loved. I see you as a fellow human being. I see you as another image of God just like me. And I want to come alongside you and support you in whatever way I can. And that, just of itself, can be life-changing. And it can be life-changing in the community as well. Just coming alongside that person that other people, they just walk away from. They cross the road from.
So do feel free to just chip in and ask if but can we just dwell on that moment a little bit, which is the crime and punishment aspect.
Yeah.
We can't romanticise crime. Neither can we. I saw a post yesterday, and it made me cross. And I have no idea whether this person will tune in or not. I'm sure she won't. But she put something on the thing there, and I'm not going to name her, of course not. But she had something stolen from her house, a minor thing.
Yeah.
And she came on and she simply said, I don't know quite why people don't, in Dubai they have their hands cut off. And I just wrote back and said, I do not like the fact that somebody came and stole a bike from my shed, but I'm not prepared to mutilate them.
Yeah.
So, to punish them.
Yeah.
It's a bike, for goodness sake, get a grip. So there's a kind of level that we go to extremes where we equate the same thing that the guy kills somebody, manslaughter, by carelessness, and we punish him. That's right. It's right that he's punished.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that he should be killed. I don't believe that he should have bits of him cut off, or I don't believe that we should treat him inhumanely. I think that's the difference here. And we met the people accordingly just up there. That
Yeah.
very memorable time we went in fairly in the last few years.
Yeah.
And that those group of murderers, actually, lots of them were. And they stood up and they were making, and we were in tears at the back as they tried to make reparation to those people that were in the room who were their victims. And it was so moving to see that these people, they could have been me, actually, in talking to them.
Yeah. I mean, our system is almost entirely about retribution.
Yes.
It's about penalty, and we see that as justice, and it's not justice. Justice is all about restoration. It's about saying, okay, yes, there are consequences of what you've done, and they are right consequences. But then, actually, what do we do next? How do we bring you back in to society? Because the reality is, literally, 99% of people who go into prison will come out again. What do you want for those 99%? Do you want them to come out and to start a new life, to actually be restored to the community, to move away from crime? Do you want to get alongside them and help them? Or do you want them just to go straight back to crime? Because if we do nothing with them, that's what will happen. And in fact, they'll come out worse than they go in. And our prison system at the moment is not in good shape.
What are the stats?
Stats say it's been overcrowded for as long as you can possibly imagine. A person a day dies in our prison at the moment. The levels of self-harm are higher than they've ever been. The levels of suicide are higher than they've ever been. And England and Wales, and actually the other areas of the UK, have the highest levels of incarceration in the whole of Western Europe. Not a prize we should be proud of, because the other thing we know is 45% of people who come out of prison will commit crime again within 12 months. Which tells us what?
Terrible, isn't it?
It's not working.
It's
No.
just not working. And that's the issue. We need it to work. And to get it to work, you've either got to put millions more in, or you put less people in. And we've got a choice about that.
Well, you know the choice is going to be made, don't you?
Yeah. And unfortunately, this government has said, no, we're going to put 20,000 people more in the next 5 years. And all that will do is create more crime, I'm afraid. Because the stats also say that for most low-level crime, community orders really work. They actually move people away from crime. But it's not sexy, it's not good to say.
No.
Every politician
Doesn't
wants
feed
to
the
say
Daily Mail.
Doesn't feel
No.
that it doesn't, no.
No.
And that's the shame of it, because we all know it, but we won't do anything about it.
No, it's Sue.
Yeah, John Bown on the community. He was a police
senior
officer
police
for
officer.
30 years,
Yep.
and he said, first of all, I often used to think there, but for the grace of God go I. And he said, sadly, although prison is meant to reform, too often it does not. There is no support when prisoners are released. And that's a problem, isn't it? They come out, they haven't got anything, they've got no money, they've got no family, they've lost everything.
Remember our boy?
Oh, yeah, the boy that we supported in Borstal. He came out and, he was thrilled to bits when he got a job driving a car. And we said, no one's going to pay you that much money for driving a car unless they're asking you to do something illegal. No, it's all right.
And they're not the most often the ones that are caught,
No.
and represent only a small fraction of those that are breaking the law, and the ones that are caught are the ones that are not that bright.
So can I just ask, Prison Fellowship, how are you able to help with this seemingly overwhelming problem?
Well, we have just the most amazing volunteers who go into prison. We've got about 3,000 of them across England and Wales, and about half of those go into prison. And the main thing they do is just be present. We run lovely programs that get alongside people and help them understand the consequence of their crime, one called Sycamore Tree. We do letter writing, we do studies with them, we do lots of different things with them. And at Christmas time we do a lovely program which gives the children of people in prison that are present at Christmas time.
Sorry.
Which is wonderful.
People are having trouble hearing you, so can we swap microphones?
Sorry, is that better?
I hope so. I've been turning you up as much as I can.
Most men and women in prison just can't buy presents it's just practically impossible. And, one of the things we always say is just because you go into prison doesn't stop you becoming a mother or a father. You still have that love for your child. And we enable them to do that, and it produces the most extraordinary results. And it's not just a lovey-dovey nice thing to do. We also know that statistically, if you can keep a family together, then the chances of that person coming away from crime increase dramatically. So this little act of actually saying, actually, mum and dad care for you, and they've managed to get a present to the child, can have a life-changing, just that simple act of a small present.
Yeah. How much does that cost? Generally?
It costs £20 per child, and that includes buying the present, wrapping it, doing the security checks, getting it posted, and getting the whole thing to the child.
And how many do you aim to send? At Christmas?
About 5,000.
5,000.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that hold on, what's that costing?
About 100 grand.
100,000.
Yeah.
So where do you get that money from?
We raise funds, so we write to trusts and foundations, and we ask for grants for them. But particularly at Christmas time, people are very generous. They see, actually, I could see that. They can relate to that, and they can relate to the plight of a child. One of the stats that I still can't get my head around is that it's estimated there are 312,000 children affected by parental imprisonment, and that is higher than those that are affected by divorce, which is because of the shame, which is one of the other issues with people in prison. There's a great deal of shame associated with it still in our society, so people keep quiet. So families that are affected by imprisonment often suffer in silence because they don't want to talk about the fact that dad usually is in prison. Yeah.
We need to always narrow down the conversation a bit, but I think I want to do that. I want to get down to brass tacks. Can people hear now?
Yes, it's right. I should have done that earlier, sorry.
So what was wrong with the mic? Do we know? We don't know.
On, it's fine.
Okay, well, can you hear you? Can they hear you?
No, it's fine.
Right, so what I want to do, brass tacks time, because actually this community is incredibly generous.
Yeah.
A lot of them are on fixed income and some of them can't give at all, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But the ones that can afford to give, how do they give? Have we got
Donate.
a donate button here? Because this is brass tacks time.
It is.
This is what we do here,
and
this is what we've always done.
It's wonderful.
We will give personally tonight as well, because I think actually everybody takes responsibility for one. I think this is again, people, and I always talk about it. It is the maths of multiples. We don't need 10 people giving 10. One person giving 10 amounts. What we'd like is 10 people giving 10 amounts, and then 100 people giving 100 amounts. And so what it does, it also increases the spread of the influence of what we're doing, instead of having one very generous donor. And I love generous donors. If you're out there and you're a generous donor, you want to give a
fantastic,
100,000, great.
Please do,
We're not going to stop you. But a lot of the people that we know here in this community are not well off. They're not wealthy people. But I know what they are is generous. They've given a lot to You've Got a Friend Trust, but this one is the button up.
Yes, it is. So it's www.prisonfellowship.org.uk/get-involved/donate.
Now, right, and that's it. So what you do is, if you can't do it right now, then simply watch this again. And as you watch it again, or if you want to write that down on the screen, we'll leave it up there.
What we'll do is we'll do a separate post.
And we'll separately post it. But we'd love to see some lives changed, actually some children's lives changed at Christmas time, prisoners and the children's lives. Do you see, and I ask you this in conclusion really, we look at this kind of situation, and every time I've spoken to you, there's been a change like that. It might be more negative. You've had many more visitors.
Yep.
And actually, can you just say a little bit about if you want to become a prison visitor, what would you need to
just
do?
go to prisonfellowship.org.uk, and there you'll find a button there that says volunteer or get involved, and you can apply to be a volunteer or a supporter, or we do a little prayer diary as well for people who that's their kind of thing. Just telling them what we're about and what we're doing on different days.
I really want people to get this, particularly for Christmas. I'm glad you've come in for this time as well, because I think actually often, having a specific project that we can make a difference to. I know Julia Slater is out there. She works on the friend of ours locally. She does the teaching on the course, and but I think this is something that people in their homes throughout the north, the south, the east, the west, which watch this programme. Whether it's on a Sunday night or whether on catch-up, you can donate in midweek. Okay, you don't have to stop. You can go and you can donate £20. It's the price of about 4 or 5 coffees. It's at one. That's how I kind of try to equate it now. And if you can afford that, we would love you to do it. It's just this. Do you worry that your job is futile? That's a bit of a question, I know.
It is, and I would be lying if I said I didn't have days like that. The state of our prison system at the moment is shocking. A previous government inspector, someone who supposed to be on their side, called it a national disgrace. Another prison inspector said, we have not moved on since Victorian times in our prisons. That's how bad it is. And
deaf ears.
And deaf ears, yeah. And there is a particular crisis. We've come out of people being locked in their cells for 23 hours due to COVID into a staffing crisis, because there's a huge staffing crisis. And I was listening to a prison governor who runs a high security prison the other week, and she said on the day she has 53% of the staff she needs to run the prison. And if you can imagine what that means is people are just locked in their cells. And under normal circumstances, that would actually be unlawful under international law, because you're not allowed to do it, put people in solitary for that length of time.
That's what they do.
But that's what's happening because of the state of our prisons at the moment. And yes, people have committed crime, and yes, sometimes they need to go to prison, but it shouldn't be inhumane.
I think that's a good place to end. I think there's always hope. One has to have, and I think one of the central points of being Christian is that we live in a state of hope, and if we don't, then we're in trouble. Can you put it onto the screen? Yeah. And just sing this song. It's a song that I used to do when we were always on tour. This was the song I sung at the end of every with you on prison fellowship gigs, and it's a song that I hope you enjoy this new and the album I've given you today from Moments. It's God of the Moon and Stars. This is for Chris Chivers, who's not been so well, suffering a little bit today.
No, it's Alan
Oh,
Chivers.
sorry, Alan, not Chris.
God of the moon and stars, God of the near and far, God of the fragile hearts, the heart, I come to you. God of our history, God of the future that will be. What will you make of me? I come to you. God of the meek and high, God of the reckless and the wild, God of the unreconciled, I come to you. God of our life and death, God of our secrets unconfessed, God of our every living breath, I come to you. God of the rich and poor, God of the princess and the whore, God of the ever open door, I come to you. God of the unborn child, God of the pure and junkie and the priest, God of the greatest and the least, I come to you. God of the refugee, God of the prisoner and the free, God of our doubts and certainty, I come to you. God of our joy and grief, God of the lawyer and the thief, God of our faith and unbelief, I come to you. God of the wounds we bear, God of the deepest dreams we share, God of our unspoken prayer, I come to you. God of the world that's lost, God of the lonely, lonely cross, God who has come to us, I come to you.
Such a privilege to have such a great friend, man, somebody giving himself up to working with those. Remember that song I sing, take me to the alley, take me to the afflicted ones, take me to the lonely ones who somehow lost their way. Let them hear me say, I am your friend. Come eat at my table. Come rest in my garden, and there you will find a pardon. And for that, Pete, we thank you for giving up the time, you and Tanya, tonight, to being with us and sharing actually your story. Story is what we love. Just a couple of bits of songs that I'm going to do, and then we're going to go.
So this is for Carol, Carol Evans, for you and for your family. It was your birthday recently, so that's number one. But also your dear mum-in-law, so that's John's mum Babs, has been in hospital with a broken leg, and it's been there quite a time now, 5 weeks. So this one is for all of you in the Evans family.
Here's a life in all its mystery, the beauty and the tragedy, the silence and the symphony, and everything between. And deep inside the heart of man, the need to know and understand, we are part of some great plan, or just a passing dream. Philosophers philosophize, but rarely look you in the eyes. And politics compromise, it rides the ebb and flow. Money talks and fashion screams to fill the space inside your dreams. If you want something to believe, I'll tell you what I know. My maker is my savior, my creator is also my friend, and to find him and his favor is all that matters in the end. Oh, my maker is my savior, my creator
is all that matters. He's all that matters. He's all that matters. In the end. And then, because we met Michael the other day, he asked for this one. He said I didn't have to sing it, and I wasn't going to, but I'm going to do it for you now. Just a little bit of this one. There's, if you could see what I once was, if you could go with me back to where I started from, and I know you would see a miracle of love that took me in its sweet embrace, made me what I am today, just an old sinner saved by grace. I'm just a sinner saved by grace. When I stood condemned to death, He took my place. Now I live and breathe in freedom. With each breath of life I take, loved and forgiven. Back with the living. I'm just a sinner saved by grace. Saved by grace. I thought
Well.
I'd save the big one to the end.
It's bigger than we thought.
And Sue, we're going, but not before we leave you with a little song. A couple of songs. Here we go. Remember the woman made famous
Stop it.
on all over the world. People listening, tuning in. Oh, look, it's just told me it's 2200 hours. I love a clock that tells you the time. You've got to love it. We've been really privileged to welcome
We
Pete
have
in.
indeed.
And thank you so much for coming in.
And people have so enjoyed it, Peter. People have really appreciated all that you've said, and it's just inspired them to find out more. So brilliant.
And they will, I'm sure they will be helping. I know this lot. This one we go peaceful until we see you. When's the next time we see you?
20th?
The 20th. Join us then for Steve Lag. Go peaceful in gentleness through the violence of these days. Give freely, show tenderness in all your ways. You gonna join me soon?
I am.
Good stuff. Here we go. If you know the words, through darkness in troubled times.
Through darkness
in
troubled times, let holiness be your aim. Seek wisdom, let faithfulness burn like a flame.
God speed you.
God lead you and keep you wrapped
as we're thinking tonight, and as it has been highlighted for us, tonight we send blessings out. And those of you who are praying type, pray. And those of you who don't believe in that, but believe in sending positive thoughts and thinking, we'd love you to think about and act on those feelings of the loneliness that overtakes so many thousands upon thousands of prisoners in this country tonight. And we pray for those people that go in, the prison visitors. We pray that you will give them the wherewithal, the patience, the knowledge, the right word at the right time. We send that peace in a place where there is very little peace. Sing it for us.
Be righteous, speak truthfully in a world of greed and lies. Show kindness, see everyone through heaven's eyes.
God holds you
And fold you
and
keep you wrapped around his heart. May you be known
by love. God holds you
and fold you and keep you wrapped around his heart. May you be known.
by love. Yes, we join you on the 20th of this month, and there will be a whole run of them that we'll do, 4 in a row. We're doing live sessions as well, so give us a break if we're a little bit tired. But we look forward to joining you, and you joining us on the 20th, with Steve Legg and his lovely wife, Becca Legg, and she'll be talking about her own charity, and he'll be doing a few tricks, and hopefully this time sawing Sue in half. I'm looking forward to it. I said leave the bits that are useful. It wasn't,
The other
wasn't
kidney.
laughing. People didn't find it funny. I found it very funny. But there you go. And as we go, we always do that little bit from the Bible, right back in the way back in the Old Testament, Numbers chapter 6, the Aaronic blessing, not the ironic blessing, but the Aaronic blessing, and it's the one that we all sing together. And sing it in your churches. If you need the music, we got that as well for you. And the Lord bless you and keep you this coming week until we meet again.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine on you. The Lord bless you and keep you and give you his peace. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord
fabulous evening we've all had. It's been absolutely tremendous.
Wonderful.
My singing was outstanding. Sue's wasn't bad. And we're
My
late.
tech work was outstanding. if
Your
you
tech
don't
work.
mind.
Big hearts and love for the woman. Come on. Come on. Don't you disregard her as much as I do. Oh, I didn't mean that. Right, here we go. Last one.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
The Lord make his face to shine on you.
The Lord bless you and keep you, and give you his peace, and give you his peace.
And if you like, on your Facebook or wherever you can share it, share this now so that other people can watch it during the week, so we get lots and lots of views. And invite your friends. If you're the first time on tonight and you've enjoyed it, come back and see some lovely magic on the 20th, and of course the magic of my extraordinary voice. God bless you, and good night from me, and it's good night from him,
And it's good night from me.